Welcome to the Senior Circle program. My name is Stella Gion, and it is indeed a pleasure and a privilege to represent the Franklin Council on Aging in hosting this program. Today, I'm honored to have as my guest James Vallee, a distinguished state representative. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Stella.
So nice of you to take the time from your busy
Thank you
schedule
very
to
much.
come.
Appreciate it.
I know you have an illustrious background, so I'd like to hear about your background. Born and brought up in Franklin.
Yes, I was, and still living here. I grew up here, as did my mother, grandmother, great-grandmother.
Your grandmother's a great friend of mine.
Yes.
We used to walk to school together.
That's what I hear, and she's told me a few stories, all good stories, though, about when you were young. And,
Yeah.
And
Not so many years ago.
a few years ago. But she's still living in town.
Yeah.
And so it's a great place to live and to bring up my family. So I enjoyed. I went to Franklin Public School here throughout my 12 years, and went away for a little while, but I came back to live and
Okay.
raise my family.
Well, when were you first elected to the office?
I started running about the end of 1993.
1993, okay.
Dan Ranieri resigned
Oh, yes,
from the
I remember
legislature in October of 1993. I had just come back from some military duty down south, and I had heard the news, and I thought, long and hard about running, and probably didn't think hard enough, but I decided on gut instinct to get into the race, and I was elected on March 1st of 1994.
If I remember correctly, it was an unusual race because you ran against a classmate.
Yes.
Is that correct?
It is correct. My very good friend, childhood friend,
Yeah.
Joe Cataldo,
Yeah.
who Joe and I had gone to school for.
Yes, I thought you were classmates.
Yes, our entire lives. We had played football together and a lot of sports, and and throughout high school, we'd get together at Joe's house every Friday night and play cards. So we were very close friends, and we had talked a little bit about whether each of us would run, and of course at the time we both had primaries to win.
Yes.
So I was running against a popular gentleman named Bob Avakian, who's a very
yes.
close family friend
Yes.
as well. Bob was chairman of the town council, and also a gentleman from Bellingham who was chairman of the school committee named Dave Arnold. And I was the long shot, so I think at that time Joe and I thought, well, Joe was kind of the shoo-in to win his primary, but I was the long shot, so we didn't really think a lot about running against each other at that time, but we did. We had a very spirited and hotly contested race, which really split a lot of friends.
Well, you've been our representative for a number of years and done
Yes.
very well by us, and I have to thank you for that.
Thank you.
I think I echo the sentiments of the community at large. You were vice chairperson of the Ways and Means Committee?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us about that?
Sure.
Yeah. What does it entail?
Absolutely. It's the Ways and Means Committee is sort of the like the Budget Committee. We deal with every bill that has any fiscal impact on the Commonwealth. So just about every piece of legislation, whether it goes to another committee first and has to be heard at another committee, eventually it comes to the Ways and Means Committee. So really, we are the sort of we're over all the other committees.
Okay.
So it's a tremendous amount of responsibility, and we do also put together the state budget and all the supplemental budgets. So it's billions and billions of dollars, are decided almost on a weekly, if not monthly basis, and it's a lot of responsibility. So that, in addition to my duties as being the rep for this particular district, keep me pretty busy.
Tell us some of the bills that you helped make into law. And well, before that, let's start on how a bill does become law. What is the procedure?
That's a very good question. In Massachusetts, it's a very unusual state. We have, obviously, one of the oldest, if not the oldest, constitution in the world. It was drafted by John Adams, and he, in his infinite wisdom, gave Massachusetts citizens a right of free petition, which is very unusual. For many states don't have it. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if any other states have it. But any person can file a bill through their legislator by petition, and they do quite many people
They do.
contact me. So when that happens, we draft the bill, we try to help them draft it, or sometimes you get a home rule petition from a community through your government, local government, or I can draft a bill and file it. It gets filed in the clerk's office after it gets drafted, and the House Counsel reviews it, and there's a legal office that reviews it for accuracy. And it's not a fast process. There's a lot of people looking at it. It has to be written a certain way with margins in the paper, and I mean, it's very complex and very old-fashioned. But it's part tradition and part just by the fact that it's a big deal to change a law or to make a law, because it affects, you know, a tremendous amount of people. The bill eventually gets assigned a docket number, bill number. It gets assigned to a particular committee. For instance, a bill relative to public safety would go to the Committee on Public Safety, and there's a chairman and a committee. I used to chair the Committee on Criminal Justice, so I would have all the criminal justice bills in the Commonwealth would come to my committee, and the committee chairman is sort of responsible for the administration of the committee and also the administration aspects of the bill. So when the bill goes to a committee, and there's about 9,000 filed a year.
9,000, that's
Yes,
a large number.
it really is. There's a tremendous amount. So when the bill gets assigned to a committee, and this is here's where it gets complex. Certain, under the House rules and Senate rules and joint rules between the two of us, if it's not filed in a timely manner, it has to go to the Rules Committee first and be heard there. So there's committees for subject matter, and then there's committees for procedure. So after it traverses each committee, which can be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 committees throughout the hearing of the bill, and every bill is required to have a public hearing in Massachusetts. So regardless of whether it's a crazy bill or, you know, a bill that, you know, gets filed that's not, you know, something that would be mainstream or be kind of a kooky bill, it still has a right of getting a public hearing.
And a public hearing means if I, the resident of Franklin, wanted to attend, I could attend?
Yes. And everything now with the internet is posted on the internet, so you can track a bill, you can learn about a bill, you can read about it, there's comment on it, you can see where it is, what committee it's in, when the hearings are. So it's really become a much more public process, because people really didn't know before. You know, they'd have to call the clerk's office, and, you know, sometimes they'd get somebody, sometimes they wouldn't, but now it's all on the internet, which has really done a great deal of really bringing it in the open. And I think we can even do
But, you know,
better.
seniors, despite their wisdom, their years of wisdom, they're intimidated by the internet.
Yes, yes, so they call me. A lot of people just call me and they ask me to,
But we're getting there slowly but
Yes.
surely. When we open the new center, we're going to have a whole new computer room and lots
Fantastic.
of lessons. I'm one of the fortunate ones. I went to the Carroll Center and learned the JAWS program, so I'm quite oriented to the computer.
well, that's fantastic. That's, I mean, it opens up a whole
Yeah,
world
it
of
does.
information for
It
people.
does. It does.
And, you know, they didn't have, I had to learn as well, because I'm from a generation that didn't have computers growing up either, but now the young people are really good at it. So after the bills go through the committees, that's on the House side, and then it has to go through the same process on the Senate side. And then eventually, if it actually does get to the actual legislature, it gets put out favorably to the membership. It gets on what's called the House docket, and there's every time we're in session, which we're in session every Tuesday and Thursday in an informal session, and then there's formal sessions as well, but at least twice a week that gets published. And it has all the bills that are to be considered by the legislature. It doesn't mean that we'll take them up that day, but they're on sort of on the table for discussion, potentially. And there's a chairman of what's called the bills on committee of bills on third reading, and that's after it's gone through the first reading in the House and the second reading in the House, and it's on the docket for the third reading to become law, you know, passed through the legislature.
It's quite a lengthy process.
It really is, and I have to be honest with you, it's taken me years to understand the rules of the House, the rules of the Senate, the rules of the legislature, all the legislative offices, all the committee hearing processes, all the people, all the particulars. It's almost like learning a new trade. I mean, it's almost like going to a trade school. You elect a legislator, but it takes years and years for that legislator to understand the process and how it works, and then to become effective at it.